fellow members of Griffith University Council, Vice Chancellor of Griffith University, Professor Roy Webb, members of the Advisory Council of the Gold Coast campus of Griffith University, including its chairman, Mr. Peter Hobart, is also a member of Griffith University Council. Professor Michael Irving, University Pro-Vice Chancellor, Health and Gold Coast. Staff and students of Griffith University, including, of course, the graduating students. Our special guest, distinguished Australian writer, Mr. Frank Morehouse. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most significant events in the academic year is the formal presentation of awards to graduating students. As Chancellor of Griffith University, I welcome all of our visitors and thank them for joining us as we congratulate graduates from our Gold Coast campus on their academic achievements. The testaments we present will in each case recognise the completion of years of personal dedication and effort. I should like to extend a special welcome to our guest of honour, Mr. Frank Morehouse, AM, one of Australia's most distinguished writers. More will be said about his achievements later in the proceedings. I say simply at this stage that to honour his contributions to literature, Griffith University will this afternoon bestow on him its honorary degree of Doctor of the University. We are extremely pleased that he's with us today and we look forward to his address. Griffith University has a short history, but one that's already remarkable. In the space of 25 years, it's grown to become one of the largest multi-campus universities in Australia, with a student population of some 21,500. It has 5 campuses well established in the Brisbane Gold Coast corridor and a 6th under construction at Logan. By next year, Griffith will have become the 8th largest Australian university in terms of funded student load. Managing a multi-campus university is a complex business. Last year, the governing body, the University Council, approved our planned new academic structure. The new structure, to be implemented on 1st July this year, will play an important role in the future of Griffith University. New faculties and schools based on the 4 broad academic areas of arts, business, health and science will be established to provide a framework for cross-faculty and cross-campus teaching and research. The new academic structure will strengthen the academic coherence of the university and provide increased opportunities for the delivery of courses at multiple sites. Over the past 5 years, the university's Gold Coast campus has experienced particularly rapid growth and student numbers have more than doubled. They've grown from 2,628, a precise figure, in 1992 to over 5,500 this year. With the additional growth places promised to the university, the Gold Coast campus can expect a student population of 6,500 by the year 2000. This rapid growth has placed considerable strain on facilities, and it's been a priority of the university to provide additional buildings to accommodate the growth in student and staff numbers. Funding of some $50 million had to be found, and the allocation of that sum has enabled a significant number of buildings to be constructed in recent years. The Link building, incorporating a training restaurant, accommodation for the Student Guild, a student refectory and several commercial outlets, was opened in late 1995. Last year, new engineering laboratories, faculty offices and stage 1 of the Information Services building were completed. A new lecture theatre complex, stage 2 of the Information Services building and new drama facilities have been opened. Construction of a visual and performing arts building and additional laboratories and the refurbishment of older buildings to provide additional teaching areas and office accommodation are other projects that are well advanced. Griffith University has recently signed a major contract with Wang Australia to upgrade the university's telecommunications backbone. Where once universities conducted their business in a relatively cloistered environment, the tendency towards globalisation of education has made us increasingly aware of and responsive to the needs of students and communities. The information revolution of the 1990s, as evidenced by the universal applications of the internet, has changed the way in which we receive and deal with information. The rapid development of telecommunications technology has had a profound impact on all sectors involved in the delivery of education. Students today use computers and related technology as an integral part of the learning process. The challenge for the higher education sector is to find the best way of merging traditional methods of teaching with flexible delivery modes. Our telecommunications upgrade to be installed by Wang Australia will permit high-speed transmission of image, sound and data via a microwave link that connects the university's Nathan, Mount Gravatt, Logan and Gold Coast campuses. The advantages to staff and students will be enormous. Access to computing networks will be enhanced and students will have greater choice in their selection of teaching and learning modes. Significant work is currently being undertaken by the university staff to develop subject content that will lend itself to delivery in a number of formats. These may include print-based material, audio and visual and videotape, lectures transmitted between campuses, and the use of interactive multimedia. All of the new buildings at the Gold Coast campus have been constructed with the use of this new technology in mind. This evening, our graduates are from the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science, the Faculty of Education and the Arts, and the Graduate School of Management. Each of these has a well-deserved reputation for excellence in teaching and research, and has recorded significant achievements over the past year. Of significance to the university is the establishment of the Cooperative Research Centre for Sustainable Tourism. Funded by the the centre will receive $14.72 million over 7 years. The aim of the centre will be to provide a national for user-driven research and education, and to foster ecologically sustainable and economically viable tourism development. The faculties of Engineering and Applied Science, Business and Hotel Management, and Environmental Sciences will be actively involved in which will have its principal establishment at the Gold Coast campus. The Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science will from the Australian Research Council of a sum in excess of $500,000 to support research projects over the next 3 years. The faculty has hosted the first international conference on computational intelligence and multimedia applications. Goes for the university's Bachelor of Multimedia course. It offers courses at undergraduate and postgraduate level in information technology. Its international reputation in these fields will be enhanced following the success of this inaugural. In just its I should deal with another topic first. This afternoon, the first to come from the Bachelor of Arts with Honours and the Master of Arts courses of the Faculty of Education and the Arts. Standing enrolments in its Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Arts in Communication, Bachelor of Arts in Creative Arts and Master of Arts courses and majors and specialist strands in response to student demand. The faculty has been a major contributor to theatre on the Gold Coast. Theatre will not only provide first-class teaching and research facilities for students and staff, but will also become an important venue. The Graduate School of Management, now in its third year, has developed markedly. In an increasingly competitive marketplace, business administration and related courses continue to attract strong student interest. In 1997, the graduate Master of Business Administration, the MBA International course. The school has already held two highly successful seminars involving students with key business leaders. The school provides its students and graduates with valuable opportunities to meet prospective employers. New facilities for the school are currently under construction at the Gold Coast campus and will be ready for occupancy later this year. Lecture theatre equipped with the latest audio-visual equipment and 2 seminar rooms. Let me return now to our graduating students. To give them the recognition that is their due. Their course of study are completed and they are now to receive their awards. The skills that will be called for in their chosen fields of endeavour. Their willingness to undertake the discipline necessary for achievement has been demonstrated. These are qualities which will provide an excellent foundation for their lives ahead and the successful careers that we trust now await them. Continue with this afternoon's proceedings. I express our warm congratulations and best wishes to each of them. I now call on Professor Michael Irving, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Health, Gold Coast, to present at the Gold Coast campus during 1996.
Chancellor, Deputy Chancellor and members of the University Council, Chairman and members of the Advisory Mr Morehouse, staff of the University, distinguished guests, graduating students and friends. I need to welcome you to this graduation ceremony and to report on the academic activities at the Gold Coast campus in the last 12 months. Been a year of considerable achievement for the campus and an outstanding year for the performance of our students. It was pleasing to note it did not deter students from seeking to study at the Gold Coast campus. And in 1997 there were over 14,600 applications for 1,800 places. The quality of students enrolling in the Gold Coast courses has remained high, with several courses having the highest entry scores of any. Particular note should be made that this applies to applied psychology, arts and double degrees in Japanese and business courses, which are part of the portfolio of studies being covered this evening. As the Chancellor has indicated, it also was a year when the Gold with respect to its research activities and the faculties of Engineering and Applied Science and the School of Applied Psychology were particularly. It was also a year when there was a significant enrolment in PhD students on the Gold Coast campus, and these students are significantly the corporate research culture developing on our campus. Griffith University is currently undergoing a schedule of works worth approximately $37 million to better position the campus to cater for its rapidly expanding student population. Opened by the Premier, the Honourable Rob Burbidge, on June the 5th last year. This building is a state-of-the-art building for concrete and is providing a research facility of the highest international standard in civil and construction engineering. It is also pleasing to note that school continued to diversify with strengths in environmental engineering and more recently coastal engineering being added to the portfolio. The library, or the Information Services Building, stages 1 and 2 have just been recently completed. And all students who through this magnificent facility will be particularly appreciative of the lot of the detail and thought that has gone into providing this state-of-the-art facility. Tribute should be made to Mr John Cowan, QC, for his support not only to contributing to the Suzanne Cowan Law Collection at the Gold Coast campus, but also providing funds to furnish the new court, which is also housed in the Information Services Building. I'd also like to pay tribute to the Griffith University Fund for coordinating significant donations to the law collection at our Gold Coast campus. The University Administration has moved from a number of different sites in the old buildings on the campus to a new component of the new buildings co-located with Information Services Centre. The campus administration is housed in a building to be known as the Graham Jones Centre, which recognises the work of the pioneering and founding principal of the Gold Coast College of Advanced Education, Professor Graham Jones. Most important to the students was the opening of new lecture theatres in February at the start of the 1997 academic year. These lecture theatres, apart from being very attractive in terms of their architecture, are in fact going to be a key feature in positioning Griffith University in the delivery of technology and educational information in the 20th century. These lecture theatres are linked not only to other lecture theatres on campus, but will be linked to lecture theatres throughout all of Griffith University, as well as their library services. The Visual Arts Building has commenced construction and is due to completion in 1997. It is appropriate that the university moves in this area, as arts now ranks as the fastest growing area of study on the Gold Coast campus. In addition to our visual arts, we have a new drama theatre. This has already been commissioned with the inaugural performance of Strangers in Paradise by the 7th Wave Theatre Ensemble, which is a semi-professional company based on our Gold Coast campus. The Gold Coast campus has always enjoyed very strong support from our local community. At our prize and awards ceremony on Thursday night, more than $20,000 in prizes and awards were donated by the local community to students in recognition of outstanding academic achievement. Our training restaurant has recently also had corporate sponsorship from Commonwealth Jupiters. It has been completely refurbished, and as you can see, has been retitled CJ's on the Link. Approval has been sought to commence final negotiations with the nominated project manager for student residences. It's anticipated that these residences will be available for the commencement of the 1998 academic year, and a prototype has been constructed on the site. The Queensland Government and the Gold Coast City Council and Griffith University have allocated $1.8 million towards the construction of an international athletics track on our oval at the Gold Coast campus. This project, due to be completed by November, will be a focus for all levels of sport and exercise science on our Gold Coast campus. Planning is well advanced for the construction of a new science building that cost $8 million to be located in the vicinity of the nursing building. This new science building will provide teaching and research space to meet the needs of the schools of applied science and health science, and was due for completion during semester 1 1998. A number of other minor capital works have been undertaken during the year, and particular mention should be made of the refurbishment of some of the existing buildings to provide a state-of-the-art psychology clinic, which is increasingly important as we have more and more graduate students in the school, as well as a refurbishment of the Graduate School of Management area. These developments on our Gold Coast campus are significantly positioning Griffith University in terms of positioning itself to make maximum use of new technology in the 20th century. 1996 was also an outstanding year for sporting achievements by our Gold Coast students. The Gold Coast campus, on a population student basis, came third in the Australian University Games, and 6 members from our campus were selected to represent Australia at the World University Games. In addition, 4 students represented Australia at the Olympic Games, and 2 of those students, Duncan Free and Catherine Bourchier, were successful in winning bronze medals at Atlanta. The student body also continues to play a key role in the corporate life of the university and is working with the university for the construction of an avant-garde arts cafe to be located in the new visual arts building, and this will be a new focal point for student activities at the eastern end of the campus. I'd like to pay particular tribute at this stage to the contribution of the deans of the faculties of the Gold Coast in positioning Griffith University on our Gold Coast campus so well in the national and international scene. Professor Richard Smith his period of dean will cease at the end of June, and I'd like to pay particular tribute to Richard. Griffith University is indeed very fortunate to have a scholar of his calibre. Richard was judged to be one of the top 6 teaching educational academics in Australia. He also has been the editor of the leading educational research journal in the Southern Hemisphere, has played a key role in terms of providing research supervision and leadership of education in the university, and his skills are widely sought both nationally and internationally. Richard I particularly valued his keen interest in seeking out more and more interesting seminar wines, and I think the other tribute that I would like to pay to Richard is probably one of the most forward-thinking academics that I've ever come across, and his ideas have positioned the Gold Coast campus well to cope with the new directions that education takes. I'd also like to pay particular tribute to Professor Ralph Buckley, who also stands down as Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science at the end of June. I think there are 2 attributes that I would like to comment about Ralph. Firstly, his ability to manage an absentia, and he's doing that very well today as well. But I think that particular tribute should be made to Professor Buckley when several years ago, in discussion with me, I suggested that he might try and formulate a proposal for a cooperative research centre in sustainable tourism. And after several iterations of this, Griffith University was successful, and the Gold Coast campus hosts the Cooperative Research Centre in Sustainable Tourism. Now, cooperative research centres do bring a gleam to the eye of Vice Chancellors and members of the Council because of the enormous prestige that it does bring to the university. But I think equally as important is the fact that the recognition through intense evaluation of the requirement to have quality research underpinning the tourism and hotel industry in this country, which now employs more than 20% of the Australian workforce, is a major leap forward. And I think that the fact that we have such rigorous recognition of the need for research in this area is something that I would be recommending to the Western group to look very carefully at. I'd also like to pay tribute to our graduating students tonight. I think many of you will be particularly envious about the fact that all of these magnificent facilities are coming of age just as you are graduating from our campus. We wouldn't have achieved the high quality of scholarship and community service without your commitment. And I wish you well in your careers. I have every confidence that we have prepared you very well, and I would advise you and recommend to you to keep in contact with us through the Griffith University alumni. Chancellor, I believe that in 1996 and 1997, the Gold Coast campus has come of age. We have established and are consolidating our national and international reputation, and we look forward to the years ahead.
I now call on the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research, Professor Dennis Lincoln, to introduce the Deans who will present the graduates from their respective faculties receiving awards at this ceremony.
Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Business and Hotel Management, Professor Paul Ryder.
Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts. Deborah Carter. Natasha Crowe. Julie Fox. Belinda Hammett. Marion Howell. Chris Jones. Maruzia Kowalski. Jennifer Muller. Ozami Okai. Sue Perry. Peter Robinson. Karen Semple. Louise Sharp. Kimi Takahashi. Lisa Jane Thompson. Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Psychology with First Class Honours. Lucinda Gavin. Jane Holmes. Clive Lloyd. Hayley Lowry. Tracy Ludlow. Chancellor, the next graduate has also been granted the 1996 Psychology Medal, Elizabeth Moore. Christy Pinto. Darren Cullen. Tracy Waters. Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Psychology with second class honours, Division A. Fiona Cole. Yasmin Evans. Lyndall Humphreys. Mary Sanders. Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Psychology. Julia Foreman. Timothy Smythe. Lisa Boucher. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates from the Faculty of Business and Hotel Management.
Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Education and the Arts, Professor Richard Smith.
Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts. Peter Bradley. Kirsten Fritz. Kim Green. Susan Jones. Glenn Maddock. Dean Monk. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts in Creative Arts. Deputy Chancellor, the first graduate has also been granted the 1996 Creative Arts Medal, Paul Appleby. Sandra Miller. Heather Blackstock. Shawnette Boyle. Sally Green. Shelka Ruritich. Tisha Book. Serena Dixon. Charlotte Grigsby. Bree Hadley. Carly Hale. Gacy Hume. Tara Welsh. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts in Japanese. Julie Callahan. Chia Hui Chiang. So Yen Chun. Islay Davies. Graham Jensen. Adrian Leese. Shin Chun Liu. Fana Low. Megan McGregor. Tanya Martin. Bianca Phyllis. Rosalie Ricketts. Humphrey Wells. Donnie Tan. Cindy Beavers. Catherine Wong. Karen Wood. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Education. Sarah Ash. Katie Bignell. Nerida Black. Cara Callan. Alison Davis. Kerry Donnelly. Lyndall Hall. Linda Carney. Annette McVicker. Lita Parks. Alison Perry. Christine Feeney. Marilyn Raggett. Christine Shearman. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Teaching. Kate McFetridge. Carleen Pace. Monique Stemple. Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Certificate in Film and Television Music, Peter Casey. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Certificate in Teaching of English as a Second Language, Tony Chamberlain. Trix Hawksley. Debbie Lodine. Aspa Papa. Julie Thompson. Gail Berger. Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Education, John Tucker. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Film and Television Music, Joel Barnes. David Manley. Carmel Marshall. Sanjoy Sengupta. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Arts, Temujin Mustafa. Peter Shaw. Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Master of Education, Jeffrey Bird. Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Education Studies, Sharon Cummings. Craig Daly. Cecilia Kirby. Deborah Carras. Anne-Marie Rebgetz. Mark Shipley. Geraldine Carisi. Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates of the Faculty of Education and the Arts.
Chancellor, the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science, Mr. Rod Learmont.
Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Science. Tammy Britton. Leanne Hewitt. Curtis Hodge. Lyle Hugo. Christopher Locke. Daniel Lord. Rebel Mallory. Lee Muller. Simon Murphy. Shai Feng Singh. Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted a Bachelor of Science with first class honours. Michael Bloomstein. John Foster. Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted a Master of Computing. Kian Shopman. Lawrence Ho. Serenitas Kavirai. Kasabsov Nipperburn. Satish Mandava. Navjot Mandi. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates of the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science.
Chancellor, the Director of the Graduate School of Management, Professor Greg Bamba.
Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Business Administration, the MBA. Dinesh Daniel. Manpreet Kaura. Martin Hovey. Nasir Hussain. Brian McGinnity. Camwell Siti. Sriram Talbluri. Glory Younger. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates of the Graduate School of Management.
Chancellor, the Chair, Academic Committee, Professor George Cunning, will now present a candidate for the award of the University Medal. This will be followed by the presentation of graduates who have been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Chancellor, the University Medal, presented in recognition of academic excellence, may be awarded to a graduate who has completed the requirements for both a bachelor's degree of the university and a degree with honours. Chancellor, I am pleased to present a graduate of the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science who has been granted the 1996 University Medal, John Paul Foster. Chancellor, before proceeding with the presentation of graduates who have been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, I shall, with your approval, read a citation introducing each of those graduates. This afternoon, the University is proud to honour its Doctor of Philosophy graduates who have satisfied the rigorous criteria for the award of the degree. Chancellor, the following graduates have been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Education and the Arts. By analysing teachers' self-reports and interviews about the labour process of teaching, Dr Andrews shows that primary teachers work longer hours than the average Australian worker, and for every hour designated as teaching, they spend 2 hours in non-teaching duties. Dr Andrews' study provides a significant theoretical challenge to public stereotypes of teachers' work and identifies key organisational features that inhibit school reform. Dr Andrews. Dr Finger's 5-year research study provides a critical program evaluation of the introduction of laptop computers into Queensland government schools on the Gold Coast. As a result of this study, policy formation and implementation strategies for the integration of learning technology in the Queensland school curriculum have been significantly advanced. Dr Finger. Chancellor, the following graduate has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science. A non-linear, layered, finite element process is presented for cracking and punching shear failure analysis of reinforced concrete flat plates with spandrel beams and torsion strips. A comparative study based on multi-column, half-scale, flat plate models and single column specimens confirms the method's accuracy and versatility. Dr Guam's results show that the method is superior to and more reliable than those recommended in the current Australian, British and American concrete design codes. Dr Guam. Chancellor, that concludes the introduction of the Doctor of Philosophy candidates. I now ask that they be presented with their awards. Chancellor, I present Dr. Cheryl Ann Andrews. Chancellor, I present Dr. Glenn Douglas Finger. Chancellor, I present Dr. Hong Guan. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of Doctor of Philosophy graduates.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be a brief musical interlude performed by the Griffith University Collegiate Singers.
With the authority of the Council, I shall now confer the degree of Doctor of the University. I call upon the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Roy Webb, to make this presentation.
Chancellor, the Council of the University has resolved to award the degree of Doctor of the University to Mr. Frank Morehouse, A.O. Frank Thomas Morehouse was born in Nowra, New South Wales in December 1938. After attending the Wollongong Technical School and matriculating from the Nowra High School, he commenced work as a cadet journalist with the Sydney Daily Telegraph. He later worked as a journalist with the Wagga Wagga Advertiser and the Riverina Express, and as editor of the Lockhart Review. After working for a time as an administrator of the Workers' Education Association, Frank Morehouse resumed his journalistic career in 1966, beginning a new weekly newspaper, City Voices. The venture was short-lived and he soon joined the ABC News Service as a general reporter. During this time he became involved with the alternative libertarian political movement in Sydney. The movement began an underground newspaper called Four, in which Frank Morehouse wrote his own column Around the Laundromat, which was later picked up by the Bulletin. In the late 1960s, Frank Morehouse left journalism to work as a full-time writer of fiction, publishing his first book, Futility and Other Animals, in 1969. A feature of this book and several of his later works is their innovative, discontinuous narrative style. Although creating a distinctive tension between fragmentation and connection, this discontinuous narrative style has brought unity to the author's body of work as characters reappear through his stories. From 1973 to 1975, Frank Morehouse was founder and co-editor of Tabloid Story, in association with Michael Wilding, Brian Kiernan and Carmel Kelly. A short story magazine, Tabloid Story, was a courageous and groundbreaking initiative, publishing experimental writing in a time of inflexible censorship laws. The publication of his second book, The Americans Baby, in 1972, established his reputation as a leading exponent of short fiction in Australia. Regarded by some as provocative and radical in its exploration of human sexuality, Frank Morehouse has consistently challenged his audience. His later works have included The Electrical Experience, 1974, Conferenceville, 1976, Tales of Mystery and Romance, 1977, The Everlasting Secret Family and Other Secrets, 1980, Room Service, 1985, 4017, 1988, Late Shows, 1990, and Loose Living, 1995. In 1994, he released his novel, Grand Days. Frank Morehouse was one of the first writers to acknowledge the urban dimension of Australian life. His contact with Sydney's libertarian community prepared him, and the narratives of his stories were a constant questioning of attitudes and absolutes. His body of work stands out as an intelligent, humorous and sensitive representation of the wide range of Australian society. Reflecting on his work and life, Frank Morehouse has commented, "The thing which has grown stronger in me is the belief in the pleasures and terribly complex and wondrous nature of storytelling. I think storytelling is what we do best as a culture and as a species." An acute observer of Australian society, Frank Morehouse has also scripted works for Australian television and radio, including the film scripts Between Wars, 1973, and The Coca-Cola Kid, 1985. He has been a contributor to numerous magazines and journals, including The Bulletin, The National Times, Southerly, Meanjin, and The London Independent. An anthology of his journalism entitled Days of Wine and Rage was released in 1980. His many awards include the Henry Lawson Short Story Prize, the National Book Council Award, the Braille Book of the Year, the Age Book of the Year, the Australian Literature Society Gold Medal and the South Australian Premier's Award for Fiction. In 1986, he was the first fiction writer to be awarded the Australian National Library's Sir Harold White Fellowship. In 1994, he was awarded a fellowship to the Woodrow Wilson Centre in Washington and a Senior Fulbright Fellowship. As well as being passionate about his writing, Frank Morehouse has also campaigned strongly for the welfare of writers in Australia. He was an active member of the Australian Journalists Association, President of the Australian Society of Authors, and a founder of the Copyright Agency Limited, a company set up to ensure that authors received compensation for the use of their work. In 1985, Frank Morehouse was made a member of the Order of Australia for services to literature. He is one of Australia's premier writers whose work has made a distinctive contribution to Australia's national identity. It is especially fitting that the Council of Griffith University should honour Frank Morehouse in recognition of his distinguished contributions to literature. Chancellor, it is with great pleasure that I present to you Frank Thomas Morehouse for admission to the degree of Doctor of the University.
Call upon Mr. Frank Morehouse, AO, Doctor of the University, to deliver the occasional address.
Chancellor McCrossan, Vice-Chancellor, staff and faculty, distinguished guests, graduating students, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honour indeed to be made a Doctor of Griffith University and a double honour to be asked to give this occasional address. This is one of the most memorable days of my life, and I thank the University and I thank you for coming. As you heard in the Chancellor's address, I am a writer of fiction, a writer of books. I thought that I would today talk, therefore, about the strange nature of this vocation of full-time writer of fiction, the making up of stories. When I first heard of the intention of the University to grant this doctorate, I thought it must be that I had been nominated by the Faculty of Hotel Management for my book Room Service, which is a book of travel writing set very much in hotels. I hope it's a text in the department. As many of you would know, book writers in the last year or so have had something of a bad press. Authors have turned out to be someone other than they said they were. Some have claimed to be Ukrainian when they weren't Ukrainian, to have known firsthand from their family about the Holocaust when they didn't. Some non-Aboriginal writers have claimed to be Aboriginal. And we've had, consequently, a series of what could be called literary scandals, which have, I think, done some damage to the image of the publishing industry and perhaps to the idea of the vocation of writing, even though at times they seemed rather comic when they were occurring, and I'm sure they were rather comic for many of the readers out there in the world of books. The Demedenko affair, which I think is probably the best known, has now generated two books on that subject alone, the subject of the hoax or the scandal. It's a case which is known throughout the world, and wherever authors travel, Australian authors travel now internationally, they have to bear a cross-examination about the nature of this strange scandal. Of course, today I hope in some ways to defend the values of this vocation of writing, but I feel that I should, in all decency, confront some of the embarrassments and the failings, initially anyway, the failings of this vocation, the failing of the publishing and book industry. I think that the industry has been seriously embarrassed. There have been other cases too, which you may have come across. There's a woman who claimed to have been autistic and is now challenged and wrote a book which became an international bestseller here in Australia. She was living here in Australia, and this has caused her to be challenged by people who knew her closely. If the publishers can't guarantee, therefore, the authenticity of their author, it seems to me they are not only fools, but they are engaged in rather shoddy trading, because the authors have a contract, if you like, with the readers to convey and carry certain sorts of authentic experience across to the readership, and the publishers are there to guarantee it. The establishment of the authenticity of the source or of the author is not that easy, believe me. As we have seen dramatically in Australia, authors apply their imaginations not only to their works, but to their self-image. And when one looks at one's CV and certain statements one has made over the years about oneself, I think we all tend to be able to exaggerate and apply our imagination to our self-image. There is a very thin line, I think, sometimes between psychosis, happy fantasy, self-aggrandizement, legend, publicity, and fraud. And some of these authors have walked those lines. There is a great case a great example in literature. William Faulkner, a Nobel Prize winner, throughout his life, and quite harmlessly it seems to me, passed himself off as a former fighter pilot in World War I, and this found its way even into his official biography. He was in fact an aircraft mechanic during World War I and never left the United States. But it's true that literature and the writing of books is not really show business, which is one of the attempts to defend some of these hoaxes and some of these scandals. There has been an attempt to defend it as, say, it's just show business. We all pretend to be something we're not at times. But I don't think this show business posture suits literature or publishing. There's a nice example I came across while preparing this talk. There was a film star, Francis Farmer, who, in a film called Francis, you may have seen, was played by Jessica Lange. In this film, Francis Farmer, the actress's advisor, says to her, "Come on, you have to lie about yourself." And Francis says, why? And the advisor says, "Everybody lies in show business." And then Francis replies, "Not everybody, not me. But you're a movie star now," he says. And in some ways, authors are caught up in this sort of razzmatazz, and there are publicity departments that sometimes suggest we make a good story out of our life. By the way, Francis Farmer, the actress, ended up in an asylum for trying to live truthfully as a film star. I think the publishing industry has to regain lost ground here. One of the, I think, beautiful things about good books and good publishers is that they are, in many ways, a source of, in a very, very, in a world flooded with media and stuff, with information and data, a source of authenticity. They have been a source of reliability. The books are generally tested well before they're published, even though you may doubt that. They go to other readers before they are the general public and before the public. compared with the internet, say, and computer forms of computer transmitted data, the book is relatively tamper-proof and has the other great advantage of being tested in the public place through reviewing. So, in acknowledging one of the failings of Australian publishing in the last couple of years, I can only urge publishers to return to some of the stricter, more rigorous procedures which ensure books are what they should be. My brother, who is a non-reader of books, despite the fact he has an author brother, he believes that Decker affair was orchestrated by the publisher. He believes it was all a set-up job. That shows how sadly the publishing world is viewed at present. To a lighter, perhaps, criticism of the publishing industry, I came across an anecdote told by John Gregory Dunn, an American writer, in a book he's just published. And for me, it points up many things. In this anecdote, Dunn says it's set in the United States, and Dunn has just finished a script called Up Close and Personal, a film which you've probably seen up here. Dunn says that late one evening at a back table in Ladone, a sunset script rescued much favoured by the industry, the film industry, a producer friend of ours and a screenwriter, a best-selling novelist, argued vigorously against the changes that Disney, that's Disney, the production company, was demanding in a picture. The president of this Disney division was overseeing the picture and was paying for the dinner, and he suddenly demanded silence. And in the silence that ensued, the Disney president reached under the table, pretended to unlock a cage and to take out a small, savage animal. And clutching the creature by his neck, he exhibited it to the people around the table, and he asked the screenwriter if he saw the monster. And the writer, not knowing what else to do, nodded. Touching the creature by the neck, this Disney executive reached under the table, put it back in its cage, pretended to lock it up. He said, "I put it," and the executive then turned to him and said, "I put it back in the cage. I never want you to force me to bring it out again." And then he said to him, "Do you know what that monster was?" And the writer shook his head and the other shook their head. The executive leaned over and said, "The monster is named Our Money. We are putting the money into this film. What we say goes." That animal is found in every country. It's called Our Money. But when I first, I was amused by this anecdote, but I pointed out to me something that is deficient, I think, again in our books and in our films. And it's a traditional tension between the money people and the arts, and the commercial people and the arts. Here I want to speak up for the graduates of the Faculty of Commerce and Administration here today, because I think you've been, as a vocation, very badly served by Australia and by writers throughout the world, and by the film writers as well, and the arts generally. There's been an attitude around which is very common that the investors, the money people, the people who wear suits, the accountants, the private sector, commerce, are all enemies of the arts, and that these people are the monster that came out of the cage. For some, this sort of attitude comes out of deep frustrations which some writers and filmmakers have had during their economic life, and it's always been a struggle in the arts. And there are ideological habits and ideological positions here. But what it ignores, I think, is that all the vital films, television, books and art generated in the last, say, 100 years has come from this world, this mixed market economy, this free enterprise community. And most of the things that we admire have been generated out of the system that the arts feels so antagonistic towards. So then we must be doing something right to produce this rich culture. And I think that in many ways books are to a degree deformed at present and writing deformed because it has not creatively reached into the world of commerce, the world of administration, and even the world of politics. There is an imagination deficit, if you like, in our portrayal of business people, of administrators, and of politicians. Yes, Minister, and yes, Prime Minister, those wonderful programs which I enjoy, tend to be the end of the stereotype. That is, tends to be as far as we are able to reach into the world of politics. Michael Douglas in the film Greed perhaps symbolises all that's bad about the market economy. And I relish some of these images and some of these stories, but there is more to be said, and it's not been said. To say something positive about my vocation, I wanted just to conclude by pointing out or giving an answer to a question put to me by a cab driver not so long ago. He said that all these books are written, and I don't read them, he said, and you talk about, you're a writer, and what is this about serious literature that matters? How does it work? Why is it valuable? It's a very difficult question to answer. We somehow, as an act of faith, have a belief that it must matter even if we don't read the books, and I think, in matter of fact, it does. The standard answer is that if we don't read the books, if my brother doesn't read the books, he is still influenced by these books because journalists, teachers, lawyers, judges, politicians do read the books. People do out there in positions who are in positions which form the society around us do read them. And I came across a wonderful example that made this transparent. It was an analysis of a book called Black Lamb and Grey Falcon, written by Rebecca West in 1941. And it was looking at how this book had, back in 1941, it had been all right. It had been a useful book and much admired. But now that the Yugoslavian situation has blown up again, journalists going to that region reread that book, and this book, this article, this analysis, identified the fact that nearly every serious book written about the crisis in Yugoslavia has mentioned or has been dedicated to Rebecca West and her book. 3 of the current proper books on Yugoslavia draw on that book quite heavily. And Robert Kaplan's book, Balkan Ghost, A Journey Through History, draws very significantly on that book. And Kaplan himself said, I would rather have lost my passport and my money than my heavily thumbed and annotated copy of Black Lamb and Grey Falcon, a book, by the way, which I haven't read. However, that book and Kaplan's book was read by President Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Colin Powell, then Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and became the basis of moving America into intervening in the Balkan crisis and formulating a policy of intervention and going in to stop that carnage. And it was a wonderful analysis that made visible the way books move in our society and the way they go on moving many years after they've been published, and their influence continues. And this is going on in a thousand ways in our society. The literary mission, if you like, and I conclude now, was stated by, I think, by 2 people that I want to quote. Lionel Trilling, an American critic. He said the function of literature and literary writing and all art was to liberate the individual from the tyranny of his culture, to permit him to stand beyond it in an autonomy of perception and judgment. That is, when we are engaged by a book or by a work of art that's significant, it helps us to stand aside momentarily from our work, our family, and ourselves, and to see clearly. It gives us insight. There's another quote, and this is by Wordsworth. Another example, I think, of what I would call the literary mission or the purpose of art and good writing. He said, The writer has the task of doing well what is worthy to be done and what was never done before, widening the sphere of human sensibility for delight, honour and benefit to produce effects hitherto unknown. And as I was writing that quotation from Wordsworth, I thought maybe that applies to more people than writers. It could apply, I think, to those who graduated today, for instance. It's a good mission statement, I think, for a young graduate to produce effects hitherto unknown for delight, honour and benefit. Thank you all for your attention, and thank you for...
Chancellor, Mr. Justice Wilson, Vice-Chancellor Professor Byrne, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me much pleasure in expressing a vote of thanks to our distinguished guest, Mr. Frank Morehouse, for his challenging and informative address this afternoon. You will recall from the introduction, Mr. Morehouse has had a distinguished career in journalism and as a prolific author. Not only was he passionate about his writing, but Mr. Morehouse has for many years campaigned strongly for the welfare of writers. This afternoon he, I thought, somewhat magnificently and unanimously commented about the embarrassments which seem to face the literary industry just at the moment, and he quoted several examples of that. He also pointed out, which was quite interesting, that before most books are published, they are well tested by the publishers, by certain people to read to get opinion, I guess, as to whether they will be successful when they reach the marketplace. He was a little critical of the publishing industry in general, and in particular, he commented on the money people behind the film industry. Mr. Morehouse made an interesting observation that although only a relatively small percentage of people seem to read literary works, the impact of these writings influence society because journalists, teachers, lawyers, politicians, theorists and researchers who are among the readers have uncommon positions of impact upon society. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have been fortunate today in having Mr. Morehouse, a distinguished Australian, give us his interesting address. I will now ask you to join with me in thanking him with acclamation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is now concluded. When the fanfare begins, please rise and remain standing as the Dice Party, staff procession and the graduates retire. Thank you.